is Eva Jo Myers. I'm the author of the book, Raise the Room. And in this video clip, I'm going to show you how to do what we call a jigsaw activity using Zoom plus a shared virtual platform. And jigsaws are a wonderful way to get through a lot of information at a deeper way quickly without just lecturing at people or making people read a lot of things. It really helps people get their hands into a lot of material and learn from each other. So it's a great method. I love to use it in person, and it's actually pretty easy to recreate virtually. There are two Zoom tools that you'll need in order to make this work. The first one is, as with the other strategies I'm demonstrating in this series, you'll have to make your Zoom window smaller, and you'll have to encourage your participants to do this, and put your Zoom window to one side, and then put your shared platform window to the other side, like this, so that participants can both see each other in the Zoom window and also interact with the slides that you're going to be asking them to interact with. The second thing that your participants are going to need to be able to do on Zoom in order to participate in this is to rename themselves. So there's a number of ways to rename yourself in Zoom. The way that I find is easiest is if people go to the participants panel and open that up. So it either will look like an icon that says participants at the bottom, or if your screen is smaller, it will just be under the More button. So you'll want to find the Participants button. And then when you get to the Participants, if you hover over your own image and your own name, it'll give you a More drop-down button. And if you click on that, you can rename yourself. And you'll see in a minute, I'm going to demonstrate how participants will rename themselves with a number in order to make this work. So go ahead, take a look, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions, but hopefully this will work for you. It's great for going through new standards, reports, protocols, strategic plans, anything that's a lot of information for people to dig into. It's a really nice strategy to use. In this particular activity, it's a quote activity, and if we were in person, I would have the quotes set up around the room, and people would go to the corner. It's like a four corners activity, except I've got 5 quotes. They would go to the corners and stand by the quote that most resonated with them. Well, since we can't do that, what they do instead is they use the rename feature in Zoom to put a number in front of their name before I put them into breakout rooms. And that way I can use the manual placement feature that Zoom allows when you're doing breakout rooms, and just put all the 1s together in a room, all the 2s together in a room, all the 3s, etc. Once you have people numbered with their breakout room, there are so many things that you can do, just so many activities and kinds of groupings and fun stuff. So for example, I did a session where I assigned everyone, I went into room 1, they all were labeled with room 1 already because we had done a similar activity to the quote activity where they had numbered themselves. And I went into that room and I said, in the next activity, you're going to turn off your video and cover your screen so you can't see anything. And then the next group, I said, in the next activity, you're going to mute your audio so you can't speak, but you can hear. The third room turned down their audio so they couldn't hear, but they could still speak. I skipped a few here. The next room, they were tasked with acting frustrated and harried and like they didn't understand the problems. Now, here's the key part. I shuffled up the rooms. So I put a person with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each room using the manual sort feature for our next activity. So you see where I'm going with this? So then they did the activity and they had to solve these puzzles together, and everyone had to participate equally. And this was a session on how to include all kinds of special needs in our virtual sessions. And they had to solve these puzzles But each group had someone who couldn't talk, who couldn't hear, who couldn't see the slides, and one person who was sort of spinning and out of control. And then they had a couple other things assigned. And so they had to solve these puzzles with those roles that I had assigned when they were doing the previous activity. And they had so much fun with this. And then afterwards, we debriefed. Obviously, there was a lot to unpack about it. But first, they debriefed. They went back into their room. So all the ones went back together and talked about their experience. All the twos went back together, the threes. So everyone who had no ability to speak talked about what that was like, etc. And then we came back as a whole group, and the groups got to share out what it was like. And it was really powerful, and a very rich conversation, and a nice way to jigsaw people. You can also use this rename and numbering feature to do a full-on regular jigsaw. So what I would do is, for example, here, room 1, they got each a chapter that they could open up that was linked into their slide. They read that chapter, and they took notes on the main ideas of the chapter, and then they had a discussion about how they were going to use it, where they got to synthesize how it would be useful to them. So you can see each room had a different chapter that was linked into their slide. So then when they went to their rooms, they went to that slide and got their chapter. And then I mingled them up again using the manual sort feature. I had them rename themselves when they were in those groups talking about the chapters with their number of their room. And then I resorted the rooms. So there was a 1, 2, 3, 4 in each room. And in their new group, they each got 2 minutes to share out what the chapter was about and how they were going to bring it back to their group or to their work. So that's more like a traditional jigsaw. But again, once you start thinking about using that rename feature and incorporating it into using interactive slides, the sky is really the limit, and it gets, there's just so many fun things you can do with it. And I'll often have people keep their numbers through the whole session after we establish initial room numbers. And that way I can mix people up in all sorts of ways, back and forth, and it's a lot of fun.